What's going on, MBL Network? It is December 29th, Friday, Commissioner Corner Podcast number 29, and I'm joined alongside a special guest host for tonight. That's OSU. Lip had a couple technical difficulties. Some things came up, so we replaced them real quick. We brought in OSU from Highly Debatable, the MBL Network director, yada, yada. I could go on and on and on. Happy to have him here, but let's first take care of some business. Web3cast.com. That is our graphic sponsor for the show and also the graphic sponsor on the MBL Network. Also, a new magazine dropped, OSU. Did you get a chance to check that out?
I absolutely did. And it's
what are your thoughts?
It looks real nice. The only thing that I'm a little disappointed of is there's a disturbing lack of Oakland Raiders on the cover. But other than that...
Yeah, Oakland Raiders colors, though.
There's black right there. I can see
Maybe
it.
There's some hidden... I mean, if this was Illuminati or something...
Maybe, yeah, absolutely. Secret messages.
Like, this is a Steelers magazine, but it's a Raiders magazine at the same time if the Raiders was...
But can we just talk about 1 second about how impressive it is having 300 wins in the MBL? That's unbelievable.
Absolutely great. Hold on, my wife's yelling at me real quick. Just fill in some.
Don't you hate when your wife comes in and yells at you in the middle of the podcast? I mean, that's just uncalled for. But this magazine, very fitting for the Pittsburgh Steelers because
absolutely. She's yelling at me. She wants me to try those cookies that I'm sending, guys. 6 lucky guys in the NBL are receiving cookies. OSU, you're one of them. Liv's one of them.
Yes.
October's one of them. Z-Star got on the 6th list. We were really only going to send 5. So, he just cried in DM so much. Yeah. I had to send it to him. He was like, am I not really top 5 again, dude?
Yeah, like, he's number 6.
I was like, I got you, man. All right. So you just said that. My wife wants me to go down there and try them. I told her I was in the stream. And that's the passive aggressiveness right now.
But guys, in fairness, that's a very reasonable thing to interrupt the stream for. Cookies are always appropriate.
I literally said, hey, I'm about to go live on a stream. Okay, no problem. Hey, can you come try these cookies? 2 minutes later, I mean, that's the life. That's the merry life right there, fellas. Guys, make sure we tag everybody in GroupMe. Let everybody know. Timbo, if you can do that for us, really appreciate it. Tag everybody in NBL. And somebody in Grid, tag everybody in Grid. Let's get them in there. Let's get talking about what's going on around the league. NBL Live broadcast number 160 tonight. We're going to be on the call. Same 2 guys. You're probably going to get bored of us by the end of the night. Tired of our voices.
Never.
8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You got the 9-4 Falcons versus the 8-5 Carolina Panthers. This is do or die for Carolina right here. They got to win. It's a kind of a crazy scenario. If they win, they might have an opportunity to steal this division. But if they lose, they're pretty much out the playoffs. The playoff run probably will end with that. So, where do you see this game going?
I don't know, man, because here's the other thing you got to remember about this game. I mean, this one, everybody's talking about this could decide that NFC South, but those New Orleans Saints are sitting there at 9-5 as well, and they got Ross Bonham back at quarterback. So who knows what's going to happen in this division? I expect a game with a lot of offense. This Carolina Panthers team, explosive on offense, and they know how to implode on defense. They have no defense whatsoever. So I expect a lot of points out of the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. Look for a high-scoring game. Do I think the winner of this game is going to win the division? Absolutely not. I'm sticking with my pick from last season on Highly Debatable. I still think the New Orleans Saints are going to win this division.
I'm surprised the Saints are still around. I honestly am. They're just so young. They had injuries at quarterback. They just got Bonham back. So really, really impressed by what they're doing in New Orleans. I thought the team was good. Let me adjust my mic a little bit. Okay, so I thought the team was good. I definitely think New Orleans is a quality team. I just didn't know if they were primed and ready. The Falcons are, the maturation of Atlanta has already happened. We're not waiting on this team to kind of turn over and show who they really are. They are who they are now. And if anything, they're moving on from Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. So this is going to be an interesting affair to see the final days of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. And if they truly do leave, this might be one of the last times you get to see them playing and throwing the ball to each other. So that's also something you really want to watch. Carolina's a young and up-and-coming team. Like I said, new quarterback, same thing with the Saints. And it's just really impressive to see how close they are right now. That spells big trouble for Atlanta as they age.
How crazy is it, by the way, looking at this NFC playoff pick? I mean, the AFC playoff picture, I think we have just the second wild card to figure out pretty much everything. Second wild card in the AFC East. But if you look at the NFC playoff picture, all 3 out of the 4 divisions are up for grabs right now. And if you look at the NFC South and the NFC East, you've got 3 teams in both divisions that could possibly win it with the last 2 weeks of the season. That is unbelievable parity here in the NBL.
Well, I mean, you can also look at it and say every team in the NFC playoff picture on daddyleagues.com/MBL. Big shout out to Daddy Leagues. You can follow them on Twitter at Daddy Leagues. At the NFC playoff picture, the crazy thing is, teams that you see on the screen, every single one of them could not make the playoffs if they lost the rest of their games.
Yep.
That's how crazy it is. If everything, even my Detroit Lions at 11-3 right now, sitting atop that, I still have to play Carolina and I still have to play Los Angeles Chargers. If I lose both of those games, and let's say Hop wins out, Carolina wins out, and the Saints win out, I could be out the playoffs.
Yep.
Right now. That's how crazy right now and how tight this NFC is, and it's must win. But that's what you love. That's what you play for, right now in the MBL. So that's really interesting. But tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right after this is going to be like a 30-minute show. I don't know how long we're in. You know what the timestamp is right now?
Who knows? We'll go until they kick us off.
Oh, no. I'm going 30 minutes. I get out of here. I got to go to the bathroom. I got a pregame.
Hey, here's the thing. I'm making a bold prediction right now here on the Commissioner Corners podcast. The NFC West champion will be under 500, and we'll have an under 500 team.
Oh, that's safe.
That's
safe.
I'm just saying. I have no faith in either the Seahawks or the Rams to win their last.
They're already 6-8, so you're saying they're just not going to win out?
No, they're not going to win out. 2 games left. Neither of them will win out. We're going to have an under 500 team in the playoffs, and that makes me sad inside.
Well. I kind of knew that. I've already adjusted myself for that situation. I mean, it's been that way the entire season so far. I haven't really been thinking to myself, wow, well, one of these teams about to catch fire. No, they've limped along the entire time. And honestly, the 4-10 Niners and 4-10 Cardinals, these are 2 teams that were mathematically in it when they were 4-9, a week ago. And legitimately, if they just would have won and been 5-9 now, one of them could have snuck in and won this division if they just got hot and won their last couple games.
Sonny Weaver's favorite team, the 49ers, picked him to win that division. Didn't quite happen.
I mean, kind of close.
Didn't quite happen.
Not as far as it could have been down, but
that's true.
Young team, rebuilding team, definitely went out on a limb for some reason. But let's move on. Jerick McKinnon, halfback of the Denver Broncos, having a phenomenal season so far, but the Broncos are not. The Broncos are 4-10 right now, dead last in the AFC West. This was a topic Lip actually suggested. Jerick McKinnon, 225 attempts, 1,429 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6.4 yards per carry, leads the league in rushing attempts. Now, I gave this some thought, and I really wanted to talk about this because I look at halfbacks in that division, and I say, okay, Jalen Richard. I look at Melvin Gordon, and in Kansas City has a very surprising young TJ Logan, who I'm very impressed with this year, 118 carries, 699 in yards, so, about 100 carries less. He's done some damage this year at 24 years old. Very run-heavy division. So am I surprised that Jerick McKinnon is here? Do I think he's a product of kind of their division and the scheme in which these teams are playing? I'm not surprised. You give anybody those kind of carries, you're going to see some type of success, or he's not even going to get to be able to occur that many carries, right? So his yards per run have been phenomenal, but they're not winning. It's not translating to wins for me. So that's where I think, okay, is he a superstar? No, because a superstar is going to help your team win a game, right? And I just don't see that really happening right now. I mean, we're still talking about a player that's fairly young, but the 225 attempts is what really bothers me. I mean, 27 years old, you hit 30 as a halfback, you're probably done, right? Yeah, is that the wall? Yeah. Well, at 27 right now, he's not, he's not 23, and he's going for 225 attempts when last year he was at 17, and then the first season, NBL season 26, he was with Minnesota, he had 9. So the workload has insanely increased. Will they stay with him next year? I don't even know. He has a year left on his contract, but this is one of those things. Is he a superstar? And am I surprised by his performance? Well, no, because in 225 attempts in a season. So I kind of expected in that division 1,400 yards. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he's a top 5 in yards in the league, but I don't know really what comes of this with Jerick McKinnon. This might be a one-season phenomenon.
I don't know about one-season phenomenon. I think I have been impressed. I mean,
wait. This is not highly debatable. You don't have to go against me.
I'm not going against you. Here. I have been impressed with this Denver Broncos team.
Soften it up a little bit.
Yeah, I've been impressed with this Broncos team. I mean, they came out with they got a big win against the Chargers. They beat the leading Chargers. I mean, this is a team. I mean, you talk about teams that are under 500 and are better than their record teams. I put this Broncos team there at 4-10.
Oh yeah.
Jerick McKinnon, they're a run-heavy team. The problem isn't. I mean, I don't know if Jerick McKinnon is a star. I don't. 225 carries, 6.4 yards per carry. That's a real nice number. But the problem is, it's still a quarterback-driven league, and Julius Stewart has not done his job. He has a quarterback rating of 68 this year, and I like to think of, when I look across the league at playoff teams, I look at it as, if your quarterback doesn't have a quarterback rating in that 85, 90 plus, and that's really bare minimum, you don't really have a chance. He's thrown 26 interceptions, and then you add on to the fact, this Broncos defense has been pretty horrible, especially against the run. 27th in the MBL against the run, giving up 91 a game. If you're a run-heavy team, they get down early, and it's hard to come back when you're running the ball so many times a game because you use up so much clock. They need to have a quarterback, or that defense needs to get a whole lot better and take a sort of a mantra off of, I guess, what the Cleveland Browns have done, the strong rushing attack, but really led by that defense.
Absolutely. You want to go power run, you're going to have a power defense. Let's put out some numbers here on Denver real quick. Points allowed, they're 24th. Rushing yards allowed, total yards allowed on defense, they're 23rd. Passing yards, they're 19th. Rushing yards allowed, they're 27th. So not only are they chewing up a lot of clock running the ball at such a high clip, their opponent is racking in a lot of yards running, which is also running the clock. And I think it kind of put their quarterback, Julius Stewart, kind of against the clock in down situations. And that's not really fair for him. And as you said, I believe that as well. I'm more at an 80 QBR. 80 QBR to have success. That's an ultimate, at bare minimum, a game manager who probably throws a little bit more interceptions than he does touchdowns. But he's good enough, if your defense is good enough, to kind of be, kind of suffice in that position and give you an opportunity to win. Now, this guy's at 68.7 QBR. That's Julius Stewart. He was a first-round pick, selected 5th overall. This is his second year, University of Clemson. Still, we haven't talked about him too much, but it's the verdict's still out on him. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He did some good things at Clemson. He definitely wasn't as mobile as we thought he was coming out of college. So there's a lot of things when he got to the MBL that we said, well, this guy is. He came out, he was 23. It's not like he was 21. So this was a pretty finished product, and he seemed a little bit faster at Clemson. He seemed like his arm was a little stronger at Clemson, and when he gets to the MBL, we're seeing a lot different this season, sophomore season. He's improved a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
15 touchdowns, 26 interceptions, QBR 68.7 from last year, 48.2. Still not enough to get it done, and by the time he figures it out, in the end, Jerick McKinnon will be closer to 30 than he is to 25. And that's my problem because he's already 27 now. He's already doing that now, So that's my issue with this team. Jerick McKinnon maybe finds himself at 29. He's got a year left. He has another big year like this, and he gets a little payday, and he gets to go to a team that's desperately in need of a running attack. And they say, hey, man, this guy's got some production behind him. Let's go ahead and pay him for a couple seasons and have him play on our team 31 years old.
Yeah, I mean, this turns into a put up or shut up moment for Jerick McKinnon. I mean, at the end of the day, he's going to have to prove next season that he is a guy that can be that number one back. It's not just a flash in the pan 1 year thing. And so all McKinnon has to do is go out there and do what he did this year. And it's a tall order. I mean, 1,500 yards on the ground is nothing to shake a stick at. But, I mean, 6.4 yards per carry, you got to think there's going to be some sort of downturn. But at the end of the day, the only thing Jerick McKinnon, I see a high ceiling for McKinnon because he's playing on a team that's so one-dimensional. I mean, think about if this guy had any sort of passing attack behind him that was a threat. I mean, this is a guy that is explosive, especially in open space. You get any sort of passing attack with him, and suddenly you've got a guy who they can use more draw plays, more misdirection, more stuff like that, as opposed to lining up and ramming it down their throats. And McKinnon's been able to get 6.4 yards per carry with no passing attack. That's, I mean, fairly impressive, but you got to prove it in more than 1 year.
Yeah, that's like the old saying when you look at a vehicle that's got a lot of miles on it. Does it have highway miles or not? And this guy doesn't. He's got a lot of stack the box. He's running against, big boxes, full boxes. And I think that's where you're going to really wear down a halfback like him who's 27 years old, and he's leading the league in rushing attempts. So moving forward, definitely want to kind of be watching his health and see if he can maintain that level of production as well as carrying that kind of load in the next couple seasons. See if it doesn't kind of start hindering on his body a little bit as he ages. He'll be 28 next year in NBL season 29. Moving along, the Cowboys, beast in the East. The Cowboys are currently 8-6. The Giants have done everything to try to throw this division to the Cowboys. They try to give it to the Redskins. Redskins is hot potato to the Cowboys. Say, we don't want it. The Cowboys are sitting at 8-6. Redskins 7-7. The Giants are 8-6 as well. I actually, man, when Lip told me this was going to be a topic, I was really excited about it because I have an interesting take on the Dallas Cowboys. I always talk about the Redskins with identity. I think this is a division. It's so crazy. If you look at this, OSU, just think for a second. The most explosive offenses in that division probably are as follows: the New York Giants, the Washington Redskins, the Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Sure.
The problem with the Giants this year is the identity that they thought they had, which was a high-octane passing attack, has kind of been pushed back because they are turning the ball over at a rabid rate, right? So that allows their identity to kind of diminish. If your identity is high passing, if you're Mike D'Antoni and you're running the run and gun Phoenix Suns 7 seconds or less, but you can't hit a shot,
right?
You can get blown out the gym quick. And I think the Giants are now saying, they're looking around and going, well, you know, we were a passing team. Davis Webb was our guy in MBL season 26. His sophomore season was good. Wasn't as good as his rookie year, and this season's been worse than his sophomore year. So we're seeing a kind of a steady decline, and injuries have been a big reason why at the receiving core. You got to have guys you can trust, and he had that season, in MBL season 26, excuse me. The Redskins still yet no identity. I don't know if they're a passing team. I don't know if they're a defensive team. I don't know if they're a running team. But they are more talented on the field than the Dallas Cowboys. They're more explosive than the Cowboys. But the one thing the Cowboys have is an identity. They're going to play defense. They're going to game manage their passing attack, and they're going to run the ball. And I think those three things single-handedly have taken this team and allowed them to compete and beat two teams that are essentially, in my opinion, better than them.
So do you like the Dallas Cowboys to win this division?
I dodged that entire...
I know you did. I was waiting for your pick.
No, I haven't liked them the whole year, but they're here.
Yeah.
And the only reason why they're there is because of what I believe, as I just stated, is that identity. And I think with 2 games left, a team with an identity, you know, has a better chance of winning out. Let's say, look at their remaining schedule. I believe they have the New Orleans Saints. I was checking the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I was just looking at their schedules, and this is where it hurts the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys play 2 teams that are playing, I think, their best football right now. They've got the Buffalo Bills just coming off a big win over the Jets.
Yeah.
And then they got the New Orleans Saints with a healthy Ross Bonham, probably needing a win in Week 17 to win their division. So that's a tough schedule. The New York Giants, I'm not even counting the Washington Redskins.
Isn't much easier.
But here's the thing.
The Vikings.
Yeah, they've got the Vikings who are coming off, they've been sort of shaky second half of the season. And then they got the Philadelphia Eagles, which I think the New York Giants win that game. They played them early in the season and beat them 49-21. I think they're going to win that game. So I think the problem is the Cowboys' schedule doesn't help them because they've got 2 motivated teams at the end of the season. I'm not even looking at the Washington Redskins. I'm 100% with you. I think you were right off the bat. They have no identity, and they're not going to win a division until they find an identity. I'm impressed with what this Cowboys team has done, especially because I counted them out about Week 8, and then they sort of stormed the league.
Yeah, they hung around and won some games you didn't expect them to win.
Yeah. I mean, and all you can do is put yourself in a position to win at the end of the season. That's what the Cowboys have done.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
I think the Giants are just too talented. And that last game against the Eagles, I think, puts them over the top. I like the Giants to win this one. The tough part is, I don't know if this division gets more than one team in the playoffs with how the NFC South is with the Minnesota Vikings. I think it's a 1-team division, and I think it's going to be the Giants.
Now, the question being, Cowboys, are they for real?
Yes.
You know, the Cowboys are what they are. They're going to be now what they've decided is going to be their identity: defense, sacks. Because we're going to talk about Irving. I mean, Irving's been phenomenal on the defensive line. I mean, he's sitting there over 15 sacks on this season. He's looked good throughout the entire year. Consistency with DeMarcus Lawrence. There's a lot of pressure to get there for the Dallas Cowboys. So they said, we're going to put the D back in Dallas. Pause.
Yep.
Cowboys going to play defense. Cowboys going to run the ball, Ezekiel Elliott. And their quarterback isn't going to turn the ball over. So you got a defense creating turnovers, an offense that's but even if he does, their mindset is and their game plan is we're not making those careless turnovers. You know, we're gonna sit there and drive the ball down the field, run the ball down the field. And if Dak has an interception here or there, that's what happens when you're using somebody as a game manager and you're doing the power run thing. They're gonna not bite the bullet. Essentially, they're not gonna hurt themselves. So that's what the problem is when they play the Giants. Who are the Giants? It's a crazy thing about the Giants because I look at this team and I'm just constantly waiting for them to kind of click, right? And you've seen this in actual real sports many times. You're just sitting there waiting. When is this team going to turn on? When they're going to turn on? You probably saw it with the New York Giants in the NFL this year. We're waiting 0-4. Well, is this team really this bad? And it just never, the engine never turned over, right?
Yeah.
So it just constantly, you're just sitting there turning the key and you're getting nothing. And I think that's what we kind of got from the Giants this year. But good thing for them is they could just get hot here at the end, limp into the playoffs, and be one of the most dangerous teams because we saw it in NBL season 26 and 27 with the Seattle Seahawks. Now,
we may see it again.
Are they the new era Seattle Seahawks is the question that I might be thinking exactly. Cowboys are for real? I think so. I think this team's going to be a 10-6, 11-5, 9-7 team in the next 3 to 4 seasons.
Especially if
Probably
Dak
2 to 3.
Prescott can cut down. I mean, again, this is a team that's 8-6 and in a position to win a division with a quarterback that's thrown 23 interceptions to 8 touchdowns. I mean,
Yeah.
It's a minus 15 turnover differential for Dak Prescott this year, yet they're 8-6. They've won games when they needed to. If Dak Prescott gets that anywhere near even, this team, I think, wins 3 more games, and instead of sitting there at 8-6, they're sitting there instead at 11-3 and are a better team. It's all about the quarterback, and Dak Prescott just needs to play a little better because he's completing 66% of his passes, and the most important one, last season, the Dallas Cowboys have always had a great offensive line. Last season, Dak Prescott got sacked 52 times. That's down to 28 this year. That's why I think it's a better
with
team.
interceptions.
Right. Well, yeah, look, you do what you can. But he had 28 interceptions last year. He had 34 in the first season cycle, 28 the next season, 23 so far this season. It's just, if Dak Prescott cuts down on the interceptions, they're never going to be a pass-heavy team. It's going to be Zeke Elliott and the defense. The way this defense plays, if Dak Prescott gives away a little less turnovers, this team runs that division. I'm not saying wins it like squeakily. They run the division.
You think of 12-4?
Yeah.
Kind of running in a good division record. I could see that. David Irving, 22 sacks on the season. DeMarcus Lawrence, 11. That's courtesy of daddyleagues.com/MBL. You're looking at the interceptions. So not only are they getting the sacks, they're getting the pressure that's making the quarterbacks have to get the ball out earlier, and it's in their head, and subconsciously it's creating bad decision-making. I mean, you're looking across the board. We don't see anybody with 11 picks on this team, but Byron Jones, 4. Anthony Brown, 5. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. 4.
Chidobe Awuzie? Come on, man.
Exactly. Jordan Lewis, 4. Anthony Hitchens, 5. Hodges Jr., Orlando Scandrick, each with 1 apiece. There's so many things, and then I look at the touchdowns on the defensive side of the ball. I see a touchdown here, a touchdown there. Anthony Brown, 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns from Jordan Lewis. Sean Lee, Awuzie, Hitchens, another touchdown. So you're getting points from your defense, who's getting sacks that's putting them in 3rd and longs. So this is field position has been key for Dallas. And yeah, they're also getting experience. And one thing I think over my time in the NBL, one thing I've really realized to be true is if you get a lot of experience in really close games and being able to edge them out, you get kind of like a swagger about yourself as a team. Yeah. And I think Dallas kind of has that. Yeah. They've been in some kind of close games. And
they showed Detroit Lions 31-24.
Exactly. Well, that was.
I'm sorry about that. Oh,
that's bad. But
I'm sorry. That's my bad. Games. I didn't mean to bring up the Lions on your show. That's my fault. I apologize. Here's the only question I have. This is the only question.
5 times longer than we should.
The only question I have for the Cowboys is they've become increasingly relying on Dez Bryant, and he's 30 years old. He's getting up there in age. With the MBL draft coming up, you got to think the Cowboys need to find another wide receiver that can take some of that load off of Dez, because as he gets up there in age, if they're going to be relying on him, he's going to start regressing, and they're going to be in trouble because Dez has bailed them out in a lot of games. 913 yards this year, but only 2 touchdowns. They need another wide receiver that they can develop for the next couple of seasons.
And I think they thought Ryan Switzer might be the guy. I don't see it, but Dez, low-key, Dez has had a pretty good season, and he's on pace to hit 1,000 yards. 63 receptions, 913 yards, 2 touchdowns. Only 2 touchdowns, that's the disturbing part for me. But once they get in the red zone, they're ground and pound with Ezekiel Elliott, and they don't like to turn the ball over in the red zone. They're one of the best in the league in that situation on coming away with points in the red zone. But Dez Bryant, like you said, if they can get a guy next to him, look at other teams when they bring in a player that has the athleticism and juice to push the defense down the field. It kind of puts a little rub on these better and high-end wide receivers, and it allows them to kind of work underneath an intermediate without being boxed up by the safety, because the safety has to worry about the explosion on the weak side. So I think you're absolutely right. If Switzer can go back to his natural position in the slot, and they bring in another wide receiver next to Dez, I can see Dez and that other wide receiver each going for 1,000 yards, and Switzer being really nasty in the red zone inside the slot. And then I think Dallas is onto something offensively. But right now, defense is looking great.
Yep. Hey, how about we go from some teams that are definitely for real to teams that aren't, and look at those no power rankings.
I mean, I couldn't have segued better than that. I was thinking, how am I going to segue to this?
The
no power ranks is out. We got the Dolphins, Texans, Cards, Eagles, Bengals. My first thought when I looked at this OSU was, which teams on here? Let's take them into two categories. Okay, so which team do I believe, or teams do I believe can actually rise up and have a chance and actually fight for some kind of playoff contention, and which ones are right now are probably 2 to 3 years kind of where they're at, and they're definitely in a rebuild situation. When I immediately look at divisions, I say Texans, Bengals, you guys are screwed. You know, I look at the Eagles and Dolphins. I think Dolphins, man, Eagles, Dolphins, Cards. Those divisions are open. Now, are they open? You know, does that key fit for those teams? I don't know. Not right now. You know, I think the Cardinals definitely have the best chance just because you see a declining Seattle Seahawks team, and you see teams that just essentially are in the same kind of position as them. I don't think the Cards bringing in Cam Newton worked out. I think they're a little bit older, so maybe the experience that the other teams are giving their young guys might pay more dividends in 2 to 3 seasons than what the Cardinals are trying to do, as HA has tried to revamp up. But the Texans and Bengals, in my opinion, they're just in such tough divisions. It's going to be really, really hard. It's going to be a long climb. I'm not going to even look at those teams for another 3 to 4 seasons.
Yeah, here's the problem. I look at all of these teams. I'm with you. The first thing I looked at was divisions, and that immediately goes Cardinals. This Cardinals team was right in the thick of that division hunt, and they have completely imploded at the end of the season. So I just don't believe in the Cardinals. Here's the one common theme between all these teams is their offenses are all pitiful, and the team that I look on here as maybe the best opportunity. I look at the Dolphins because for some reason, and Bomber, maybe I'm making stuff up here, but every time I see the Dolphins play, it looks like a team that is better. They always play better. They play up to their competition. And then they lose games that I think they should win. They play teams that are on their level and they drop those games. That Dolphins team is scrappy. I think that Dolphins team has talent at the quarterback position. They just need to put it together. Their defense has played really well. They're a top 15 defense in just about every category. They just give up a lot of points because the quarterback combo of Tannehill, Foles can't keep the ball out of the defense's hand. But I just look at the other teams. I'm with you. The Texans, that's a brutal division, and I think they run the ball way too much, and Blake Bortles is not a quarterback that's going to run anything. And I look at the Eagles and Bengals, and they're both dead last in either offense or defense or both. I just think this Dolphins team, for some reason, every time I see them pop up as they played their game, it's like a 7 to 10 point game, and then they'll lose by 40. It's like they play scrappy, and then they'll lose a game they shouldn't by 40. That's why I think Dolphins maybe, but out of all these 5 teams, if you're betting on them, I'd wait to put your money on them for a couple years.
Yeah, Miami, definitely a head scratcher. You know, you notice a team that will be in close games, kind of the opposite effect of what the Cowboys are getting. The Cowboys are getting swagger from these close games they're pulling out. The Dolphins look back and go, man, we were in that game for 3.5 quarters. How did we lose by 26? And I think that actually takes away from the identity of your team and the swagger of your team. Obviously, they're going to draft a quarterback in NBL Season 29. 100% sure of that. That's going to be huge for this team, and we'll see exactly where their offense actually stacks up against everybody else once they get a formidable quarterback under center. The Texans, actually, I think they should adopt the Dallas Cowboys. I think they need to just shore up the defense some more and try to play some ground and pound. The only problem is, you know, you have 3 teams in there, the Titans, who have a top offense in the league, and they can drive the ball and score in. And we saw Tennessee do this multiple times this year, get themselves in holes and then drive down and put themselves in field goal rates. So if your offense isn't good enough to even do that, you're going to be in trouble, because I see the Colts can obviously a high octane offense
and injuries at quarterback.
Careless.
That's why they're down. I mean, Josh Dobbs was who they had, and he went down. They don't like Andrew Luck there, so they're 6-8 with a quarterback they're not happy with.
Exactly, and we know they have a vertical style offense, so they can put up points. And then the Jaguars obviously coming along slightly ahead of them right now, of the Texans. So I just see them really at the bottom. And the Bengals, I just don't know. I mean, they got Adcock at quarterback pause. He really didn't show me much this season. He's actually been benched the last game. I don't know what they're doing. I think they should let AJ Green go, and they should really kind of revamp and create, like I always talk about, identity. I think that's what all these teams kind of, you know, have together. I think the Texans probably have the strongest identity. I just don't think their identity, probably the Texans and the Cardinals. Actually, let me rephrase that.
Yeah, Cardinals got a top 5 run. Yeah, that's
exactly.
That's a good one.
But it's to the detriment of their success. I think they're running their offense into the ground, essentially, as opposed to being a little bit unpredictable and having a little bit more of a balanced. And they could be power run, just not so much to where I'm stacking everybody in the box and I'm daring you to throw. Well, especially with the wide receivers the Cardinals have, you would think that kind of, you know, that kind of could give them the opportunity to throw the ball down the field. We still haven't seen it. So those are our lows. Let us know what you think in the chat.
They have Cam Newton too. They have Cam Newton too. They have the most talent at quarterback of any of these 5 teams, and Cam Newton, they can't get a pass game going.
All right, let's move on to the Crossfire. This is where you ask the questions. We got a couple already lined up right now. We'll go in order in which Lips has messaged us. Pricey asked, who is playing Sonny in the MBL Super Bowl?
I'm sorry, real questions only.
Pricey is actually a huge Tennessee Titan. No, he's actually a huge Sonny fan. He roots for
wherever Sonny is, yeah.
He's going to live vicariously through Sonny the rest of this Madden cycle. Kind of interesting take. A guy who's self-proclaimed the 10-6 guy, the one-and-done guy. But he believes in him this year. And I'll tell you what, if there was any year to believe in Sonny and his team, these Tennessee Titans, MBL Season 28, this might be that magical run from him that we won't hear the end of it. I swear it'll feel like he won 10 championships. If he does it, I've been there before when he's done it. Can he do it?
No way. Not one.
No chance. Zero?
Zero chance. Yeah. I would just like to point out, Week 15, they played the top of the AFC in the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they didn't just get beat. They got run out of the stadium. A home game, they lost 42-16. This team is not going anywhere.
I don't know if they're ready just yet. Marcus Mariota, center there for Tennessee, but we've seen good things from him. Moving on, Eric G asked, who is in and who is out in the NFC? We already talked about that, man. You want to talk about the Saints? Hey, look, the Saints are in. That's what he wants to hear. Just tell him the Saints in. We'll move on from the question. The
Saints are in. Lions are in. I got the Giants in. In that NFC West, I still like my pick. I still think the Seattle Seahawks are in. And the wild card team, I think it is the it's the Carolina Panthers and the Minnesota Vikings.
So you got the Saints winning the division. Okay.
Yeah, I got Saints winning. I think the Falcons miss
Saints are in, so he gets his due on that. Draco asks, who are the standout rookies in NBL so far in NBL season 28? I look at the Giants. I like the Giants wide receiver. I'm not going to talk about, obviously, HB18. If you watch the show, been phenomenal. But the first thing that pops up to me is wide receivers right now. And, man, that Ben Stokes for the Giants has looked great. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's got 69 catches, and he's done for the season. But he stopped on 69. 1,044 yards, 11 touchdowns. This is a guy that was drafted in the third round, OSU. The second round, late second round. I call it an early third. From Illinois, 23 years old, 6'4", 232 pounds. I think he's coming up big to be a nice little compliment to Odell Beckham. He gets some size over there. He had a season high, 13 catches, 150 yards, and a touchdown versus the Miami Dolphins, which they squeaked by and won that game. Talk about lack of identity there. Struggling against the Miami Dolphin team down the stretch. Never really good for a team that has playoff aspirations. But who do you think are the top rookies in the league so far, at least the standout rookies, as this question was asked?
You may not talk about him, but I'm going to talk for him because Harvey Beckham is having an unbelievable season. I'm not just sucking up to you because I'm on your show. 74 catches, 1,500 yards, 6 touchdowns in a passing attack that spreads the ball around. Harvey Beckham is going to be a nightmare in the NFC for years to come. We said it on the draft special with Sonny Weaver that this was the steal of the draft. This is why your Detroit Lions had the best draft. And what happens? You go out and prove everyone right. Harvey Beckham is the best rookie that comes out, and he's going to be around for years to come. You know what? Here's what I'm going to say.
He'll never get hurt, right?
No, here's what I'm going to say.
So I'm going to say he's
100%. I'm trying to jinx him because I don't want to see him around. I'm saying he is going to be better than any of the 3 wide receivers that we talked about all last cycle. He's going to be better than all 3 of them combined. That's how good he is.
High praise, man. So now he gets hurt and probably won't play another full season for the rest of his career. And we got to thank that to OSU. We got any more questions in the chat? Jay Vines. Big shout out to Jay Vines, one of the biggest fans. Huge fan of the Arizona Cardinals. I've actually been waiting to talk. I was hoping he'd show up today. Who is this guy? Where'd he come from? Jay Vines, we want to know how you came across the MBL and how you found us because, man, he has been coming with these hard facts about these Arizona Cardinals. That's where it usually started. So he was an Arizona Cardinals guy talking a lot about this Arizona Cardinal team, what they should do, they should have. Ownership's looking at this guy as a super fan. Oh, man, he's got some great knowledge. And his question is, teams that missed the playoff. Okay, so Lip just sent me another one. Teams that missed playoffs this year that will make it next year. That's a great question. Absolutely. Absolutely like that question.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to take one of those NFC East teams. Okay. Do I have to pick the team now? Which one doesn't make it between the Giants or the Cowboys? I would say is the favorite to get in. And whichever one doesn't make it in the NFC South between the Falcons, Saints, Panthers is going to be my favorite to get in there. But I have to go out with my 40 days brother, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I got to say they're in next year.
Well, I'm going to go AFC. I like what the New England Patriots have done this is a team that started 0-6. They've been 6-2 since then. They've got a top 10 or top 15 offense. They've got a top 10 defense. I think this Patriots team, they've found something in this last couple games, the 6-2 stretch. They know what they're doing offensively. They like their running game, especially with LaMarcus Riles. I like the New England Patriots. I think they'll probably win that division next season. The Jets and the Bills, nobody seems to want that division. I think the Patriots, they're not going to start at 0-6 next season, and they're going to get a favorable schedule finishing third in that division, so I think they're going to be better. Look out for those Green Bay Packers. I'm just saying, Bomber. They're in your division.
Oh, I think Green Bay.
That Packers team, much better.
Probably how you describe the Miami Dolphins as being is probably more like how the Green Bay Packers are. You said that they get in these games where they're close, but they actually put up some points. I mean, they have a really vertical attack with Aaron Rodgers, arguably one of the most precise quarterbacks accuracy-wise in the MBL. If they can clean up their mistakes, man, I think that is just consistency. I think they've established themselves as having an identity this year. They've beat some really good teams, and they've been in some – man, they took me to the end of the game twice this year, and Aaron Rodgers was nearly unguardable at this point.
They just need a pass defense. If they in this draft, they're going to take a cornerback. They're going to take a safety, something like that, because they
pass rush. I think you get pressure. It kind of changes and it alleviates some of that pain.
Yeah,
but
that's top 5 rushing defense and a top 5 passing offense. That's a recipe for a team that's going to be dangerous next year.
All right, final question of the Crossfire: will Jay Cutler win the Super Bowl this year with the Los Angeles Chargers, NBL season 28? Oh, wow, that's a weird question. Well, the Chargers could win. I don't know if I'd I'm going to say Jay Cutler's, I guess. Could happen.
Here's what I'm going to say.
Say no.
I'm going to call
I don't see that.
Absolutely nothing, because you can find out mine and Sonny Weaver's predictions on Highly Debatable tomorrow night.
Is that an actual question on the show?
Yeah, we're doing playoff edition. We're taking our favorites. We're looking at sleepers. We're looking at favorites, and we're making our picks. We're calling it right now who's going to win the Super Bowl, so check it out tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern.
All right, and I have an idea I wanted to shoot by everybody. Since we're doing some videos on Twitter, I thought it would be a cool idea to do some testimony videos, kind of like 30-second clips, kind of like what we've been doing with trying to promote upcoming shows and events on this channel. But I was thinking guys in the league doing little videos, OSU, of how they came across the MBL. You know, how they found us. So, hey, I saw the MBL. I was in these kind of leagues. I went over here. I joined the MBL, and I've been in here for this long, right, kind of thing. Yeah. And kind of just doing a little segment of that and putting them out once every, 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Per person in the league. I think that'd be pretty cool to get some insight, because we got guys who found our league through leaguecrawler.com. Great site. Check that out if you're looking for another league. Through the Dad League's top league site. Through just stumbling upon the MBL network. Through other leagues saying, hey, look what they're doing over here. And they come over there, wow, that's really cool. I'd like to be a part of that. So I think everybody's journey on how they got here kind of is unique, and I think it could be interesting for other people to know in the league as well, as in build the camaraderie that we always pride ourselves on. But that's going to do it for the show. You got any final thoughts?
No, just thanks for having me on here, and thanks for Lib's microphone for breaking.
Oh, we didn't really have you on. We were forced to put you on.
Thanks for forcing me to be on here, and I'm going to mute your microphone for the entire NBL
live. Wait. Tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same two guys you're hearing right now. OSU's going to be on the play-by-play. I'll be doing the color commentary. That's going to be for NBL Live broadcast number 160. That's tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, less than an hour. We got the 8-5 Carolina Panthers, playoff hopeful, taking on the division. Well, not division leader. I don't want to say leader yet. He's ahead. Technically, yes. Mathematically, division leader, Atlanta Falcons, 9-4. It's going to be a great game. Division rival. It's time for the Atlanta Falcons in their last run with Julio and Matt Ryan to say, hey, we're going out in a blaze of glory. We're going to win this division. Let's see if they can do it tonight and kind of close it off. We'll see you then. This was this was Commissioner Corner Podcast, episode number 29, Friday, December 29th. We'll see you in just a short hour on NBL Live broadcast number 160.